more than 500 seminars and workshops in 100 plus organizations. Sir, I feel pleasure in inviting you to share your knowledge and experience with our students. We welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Just give me a second. Hello, good afternoon all. I hope you guys can see my screen. Yes. Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello. Hello, ma'am, can you hear me? Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello.
Hello, Viral sir?
Yes, can you?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, okay, great. Fine.
Yeah.
So just let me know if you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Fine. So good afternoon to you all. Thank you, Nijari sir and my faculties, other faculty members, and specifically Hiren sir for inviting me here in this event. And my today's topic is about cybersecurity, why it doesn't need of an hour. So as ma'am already gave me introduction, there is no need of my introduction, but let me start with my topic about cybersecurity. So the first thing that if we talk about cybersecurity, the first thing that specific word that comes into our mind is hacking, right? So you'll be thinking that what hacking is or what is hacking. So my question is to everyone, all the participants who are there in this video call. So what do you mean by hacking? You can just drop the push and drop the answers of this question in chat box in the right hand section. So you can drop your answers there. What do you mean by hacking? What is hacking up like regarding to you? I think there is no chat option available. Fine, no problem. Okay, so if we talk about hacking, what hacking is, then finding some vulnerability or loophole in any system device or in any network, and using that loophole to get an unauthorized access in any system is called hacking. So these are the three key points. I have mentioned 3 points. That one is finding some vulnerabilities or loophole. Second is using that vulnerabilities and loophole, getting into or hacking into the devices, or like getting an unauthorized access and using that unauthorized access, getting in or changing the originality of data. So these are the very three unique and important three key points that actually define what hacking is. So I hope you are clear that what hacking is. So finding some vulnerability loophole, using that vulnerability loophole, hacking, getting access into unauthorized access into anyone's system or device or anything, and doing and manipulating the original data is called hacking. Now, if we talk about hackers, what like if we talk about hacking, then obviously the person who do is hackers, right? So hackers is like person who is doing such kind of things, like in hacking things and other things. Now, but still, who the hacker is, right? The what kind of things that hackers can do, or is there any specific qualities as in skills that is required to become a hacker? So hacker is a person who have good and immense knowledge of computer networks, computer network architectures, and how it works, and what are the vulnerabilities in that system. So the person who knows that actually can be called as a hacker in terms of cybersecurity domain. So besides cybersecurity domain, hacker means different things. So if we talk about non-technical as in general language, so hacker is a person who stabs someone. So this is in normal English newspapers language. And if you talk about if you talk about as an another in another aspects, then hacker is a person who is actually cutting down trees, and he is an actually we can say a person who is cutting down the trees and hacking into the jungle and making a pathway or road or something, right? So that person can be called as an hacker. And if you talk about technical things, in technical manner, so hacker can person can be called also as an like the person can also call as an hacker when he or she is trying to actually hack some problem and making some solution or creating some solution. Like maybe you heard about hackathons, right? So people who are participating in the hackathon, on the basis of problems, they create some solution of that, right? So they are also called as a hacker. But if we talk about in uh, cybersecurity domain, hacker is a person who have a good and immense knowledge about computer systems and architectures, and actually hack into it. That's like in getting unauthorized access into it. Now, if we talk about hackers, then the first picture that comes into our mind, that what kind of hacker is, or who like if we talk about hacker, then the first picture that comes into our mind is this, that there is a guy who's wearing an hoodie and he's sitting, and he or she is sitting in a dark room and hacking something, doing illegal stuff. But there are different kind of hackers. So what kind of hackers are there? First is white hat hackers. So white hat hacker is a person who is doing things legally, and black hat hacker is doing black hat hacker is a person who is doing things illegally. Let me give you a good example of it. So there is a one person who is actually who found some vulnerability. Let's suppose I was there and I actually found some vulnerabilities in some XYZ websites, XYZ company's website. Now what I did is I actually reported this vulnerability to that company, that I found some vulnerability in your website, and these are the vulnerabilities, and you can look into it. When I reported to them, so they look into it and they were like, okay, fine. So they didn't give me a proper response. They didn't acknowledge that I found some vulnerability, or they didn't even thank me. They didn't give me some bounty or anything, or nothing happened, right? So now in this scenario, I was like, why should I actually give such vulnerability, which is an important vulnerability I found in that website, instead of that I can sell this vulnerability to someone else so I can make money out of it, right? So what happened in the same scenario, that I found some vulnerability in the same website, and now what I did is I actually sold that vulnerability to someone else. Or let's suppose I found using that vulnerability, I hack into that website and grab the database, and grabbing the database, I was actually selling the database, so to make some money out of it. So at the first scenario, I was a white hat hacker, I was a good hacker, have a good intention. In second scenario, I was a black hat hacker, I had like wrong intentions, right? So it's depend on the perspective, depends on the characteristics of a person, and that's how we actually call this person as an hacker, as an white hat hacker, black hat hacker. Now the person who's doing the both the things, it's called gray hat hacker. So in day he or she is doing white hat hacking, in night he or she is doing black hat hacking. So I hope you saw an season called Mr. Robot. It's a very famous season on Mr. Robot. It's on Amazon Prime, available there. And if you saw that, it's good season, and if you didn't, you actually should look into it, and you should watch this season. It's about hacking stuff, and it's most probably all the things that are shown in the season is almost related to domain of hacking. So now, where the hacker, the person who was a main actor in the season, what he used to do is he is an actually a white hacker. He works in a cybersecurity company and secure the company's e-cop corporation, and he is securing the servers and their servers and everything. But in the night when he comes home, he actually hacked into the same company, right? So this is how he was like working as a grey hat hacker. Now, besides the white hat hacker, black hat hacker, and grey hat hacker, there are other types of hackers. They are like activists. They are actually called as an hacktivists. Hacktivists are people who are like maybe you heard about an organization or like in hackers group name called Anonymous Group. So Anonymous is the biggest hackers group across the world, and there is no face of it. Like people don't know who the anonymous hackers are, who the real person is behind that group, or person who is in that community or in group, right? So what they do is they actually the things that they don't like. Like suppose, let me give a good example of it. So there were a few scenarios where even recently, let me share a recent latest things that they have did. So maybe you heard about the things that is happening in the USA, like Black Lives Matter initiative that happened, and they were doing protests against a US police department, and specifically in Michigan or somewhere, right? So what this activist group, anonymous group did is they actually uh, they are doing protests. Obviously, lots of people doing protests against them on the road. So what this group did is they actually did protest online. How they did this? They actually hack into their police department networks, and they grab all the videos and everything. They took everything from the database and uploaded in the plain website, and they reveal all the sensitive videos and other things on documents and other things. So this is how they works. So similarly, they actually did an hack in government of India's TRAI, that is in Telecommunication Regulatory Authority of India, and they hack into there, and they hacked the websites of at particular time. We had Ravi Shankar Prasad sir as of now, even today as well, he is an telecommunication minister. So yeah, they had this group, hackers group, actually hack into their website and his Ravi Shankar Prasad's personal website as well, and they mentioned that this they were actually protesting against net neutrality. So they mentioned this, that we want our net neutral. So they were against that thing. So this is how they actually protest. It's an online protest, and they are called hacktivists. Besides that, maybe you heard about suicide bombers, right? Similarly, there are suicide hackers. So what they do is they have specific tasks to perform. So after doing an hack, they actually, their owner or the person who is there, who gave them a task, it doesn't matter that what happened to that person, right? This is kind of an the scenario only. Besides that, cyber terrorists, there is an, obviously you know about terrorist group. There are lots of different terrorist groups across the world, and the famous one as of now everyone knows about it is like ISIS. So ISIS also have a cyber wing. So they actually recruit hackers to hack into different governments department and other countries and people's account. So they have this group of people who are doing hacking for them. So they are called cyber terrorists. The main agenda is to reach out more and more audience, and about their ISRS initiatives and agendas and stuff. Now, also maybe you saw a few movies of FBI or CIA, and where they were like, they, after the work is done, they actually kill the person who actually did that thing, right? So they don't want to put some tracks, so they can reach out to, like, people can reach out to them. So now what they do is they hire some shooters, like killers, and like, sharpshooters and other things. Similarly, government actually hires hackers. They are called state-sponsored hackers. So this post-sponsored hackers, they actually government hired them. Like maybe you heard this in recent scenarios where U.S. departments, U.S. governments, different departments were hacked. U.S. election was hacked. So they blamed Russian-sponsored hackers. So they are saying that Russian government actually hired few hackers who actually hacked into U.S. departments, defense, U.S. government, other different other government department, as well as U.S. election as well. So this is how they operate. Also, people who are new to this domain, people who are like learning about cybersecurity, they are watching videos and learning, attending events and other things. Now, after learning this thing online, what they are trying to do is they are copy pasting the codes, they are copy pasting and running the things. They are like duplicating the whole scenarios, right? And they are trying to learn. They are the newbies. We actually call as a newbies. So this newbies trying to copy paste the scripts and run it, and then sometimes it happens that it actually runs and they hack into systems or application or anything. So they are called script kiddies. These are the different types of hackers are there in the domain. This what we call it. Now, actually, as I mentioned earlier, that this is the picture that comes into my mind if you talk about hackers, but no, that's not it. This is a scenario that actually comes into my mind when we talk about hackers. So hackers are not like black hat hackers only. They are cybersecurity researchers, experts who are doing work in this domain. And most specifically, if you talk about big companies, this is a scenario where they're actually working something on in daylight, and they're working good and securing the systems and infrastructure and and websites and other things. Now, the
Excuse me,
cybersecurity
sir.
domain, yes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. There's one announcement for the students. Students, please post your questions in the chat box. And after the end of the session, at the end of the session, we'll be taking all of your questions. Okay, students? Yes, sir. Please continue.
Great, great, fine. So, cybersecurity domain or cybersecurity researchers or ethical hackers is as normal as the other job profile that you see on the regular basis, like graphics designer, social media consultant, network admin, and stuff. So, ethical hackers are good people. Ethical hackers are people who have an ethics and work in domain of cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is the fastest growing domain as of now, and lots of people are trying to join this domain because people makes more money. So besides any domain in the domain of IT, if we talk about, and people are doing job as a developer, DevOps or anything, cybersecurity experts or cybersecurity research or ethical hackers are making maximum money out of it because of their requirement, and there is very less people who have an expertise in this domain. So, uh, if you talk about how you can join this domain, how you can work in this domain, or what are the steps you should follow to join this domain or to get in this domain. So, this is a small roadmap to get into the cybersecurity domain and create your career in it. So, first of all, every day you should read things about cybersecurity. So, there are lots of blogs available, there are lots of websites available. You can go to this website, you can read blogs and read whatever happening in this domain of cybersecurity every day, because see, cybersecurity domain is a very dynamic domain. Every day something new comes up. Let me give you a good example of it. If you talk about just one thing, that is malware. So every day on an average 1 million new malware introduced in the market on a regular basis. So it's according to the reports, by the way. So you can understand what are the actual number of malwares that comes into the world on a regular basis, right? So this is how the dynamic domain it is. The cybersecurity domain is very dynamic. So every day something new comes up. On last week, I would say next 7 to 15 days, we heard about almost 10 to 15 big MNCs, Fortune 500 companies who were hacked and the data was leaked and compromised very easily. So this is how the domain works. So you should know, keep updated yourself about the domain, what is happening and how it is things happening. You should also gain good experience, hands-on experience. You should attend some workshops and stuff. You should also do some certification, earn certification, do some volunteer work. So this is a good actually scenario where actually you can join some community, cybersecurity community, and volunteer in that community. So while volunteering in a community, you will be getting in lots of opportunity to learn lots of things, as well as to reach out more and more audience, or reach out more and more experts, cybersecurity experts and researchers, and you can connect with them, do networking with them, learn different things from them. So that is the best option that you should choose. Then join cybersecurity professional group, as I mentioned. Take college or technical classes. So you should actually, as I mentioned, that you should earn certification. So for that, you should take some certification courses, technical classes, lectures, attend some workshops, or do a master's in cybersecurity. As you already, I think you are all students of bachelor's, so you should. I would suggest that you should do a master's in cybersecurity. Now, if you talk about this was the basic things about what cybersecurity domain is. Now let's directly go to the point of we're gonna talk about why this domain is important, why cybersecurity is important, and what are the things that is happening in this domain. So as you all heard about this thing that data is the new oil, right? So wherever we go, whatever we do, we actually create some data. So let's suppose if you are sitting at home doing nothing, you are creating some data. So your phone is there, you are not using your phone, that is also creating some data. It's using your phone doing something like using a Facebook application, chatting on WhatsApp or whatever it is, so you are creating some data. So whatever you are doing, sitting and doing nothing or doing lots of things, you are creating data. So whatever the data that has been created, it has been shared with lots of people and across the world in different applications and different companies, right? Now this data is so important, so actually people are selling this data. So it shows that the importance of data, and that's why people used to say this thing, data is the new oil. And why data is the new oil? Because what if the data is there and something wrong happen? So what are the wrong things that can happen? So what are the things can go wrong? So I hope you heard about the news or like stories about World War, right? That way World War One happened, World War Second happened, and the biggest thing that changed the World War was from World War One to World War Two was the technology. Now these are the things that we these are the picture of an old we can say in a war room where people used to be a peasant here and want to launch some nuclear codes or missiles or anything stuff. But this is the picture of new war room, so you can understand the difference there. And from like last 15 to 20 years, what are the things that is changed? So like next in last 20 years, everything is changed and everything is been technologized, and everyone is using technologies and they are using computers now, so they don't actually have to even this is fly a plane into the enemy's territory. They have drones, right? So this is the picture of the new war room where everything happens in the setting at one place only, and they can do whatever they want, right? So we are talking about cyber warfare. We are talking about where people actually or governments or countries actually can launch an attacks. So if we talk about cyber warfare, so cyber warfare is on regular basis is this thing happening where some countries hacking into some other countries. Like you heard about the recent issues that is happening in the Israel Palestine, right? So as Palestine as in not in that evolved country, as in if we talk about the scenario, how technology they are using, so it's not that much evolved. That's why otherwise Israel has been actually hacked into their networks and system infrastructure and crush them. So let me give you a good example of it. I have good case studies to share with you. If you talk about cyber warfare, then is US and Israel actually uh, you know had lots of cyber attacks. They actually did lots of cyber attacks on Iraq and Iran on regular basis, and they used to do this thing on regular basis as of now as well. So if we talk about what's can wrong, what other things can go wrong in the domain of cyber warfare or in the perspective of cyber warfare. So maybe you saw this movie called Die Hard 4.0, the fourth version of fourth part of an Die Hard series. So in Die Hard series 4.0, we have saw that there is an system called FireCell. So there were a group of hackers who actually hack into the whole US country. They hack into the whole country and they hack everything. And they follow this process called fire cell. In that fire cell, they actually do an cyber attack and different infrastructure in US departments and other different departments, and the whole country goes down. So they follow three steps. They hack into three different infrastructure. First is they hack into their electric communication networks. So they hack into their communication networks and other things. Then other utility sectors, besides the communication sectors, they also hack into their this electricity, and also this oil and natural gas. Yeah, so they hack into all these basic utility sectors, because we require this thing as a basic utility and it requires on regular basis, and without that we can't do anything, right? Then second thing was they hack into their transportation systems. So all the transport systems like railway track lines or airports and authority and everything, ATCs and everything has been hacked. Then third step was to hack into their banking financial sector. So what they do is they hack into all the banking financial sectors. They trace the stock market, the banks, and everything. They hack into everything. Now in this three step, they hack all the different domain which is required to establish an economy of a country, and they hack down whole country now using these three steps. Now I have good case studies and real life case studies to showcase that things can happen. This thing happened in the movie, but these things can happen in real life as well. So starting with the first step, or starting with the first things that they did, they hack into the whole transportation systems. So I have a case study where Pakistani hackers, few Pakistani hackers, they actually hack into Gujarat's cyber network as an Indian Railway network, and they hack into their cyber network, and they hack into their local internal network. They're called RailNet. So they hack into RailNet, and they mention this thing that will require we will take this Kashmir back and stuff, other things, and Pakistan Zindabad and other things that we mentioned. So they hack into our railway networks very easily. So that was one thing. Then if we talk about ATCs and other things, so maybe you heard about the Uri attack and stuff, right? Uri attack happened, and they were like lots of Indian soldiers were killed. So in the ambush. So to take an revenge, to take revenge back and to affect the Pakistan somewhere somehow. So few Indian hackers, what they did is they hack into Pakistan's Islamabad airport. They hack into their airport and their network, and they shut down the whole airport. So this is how you can see that these things can happen in real life as well. So whole transportation systems can be compromised very easily. Then second stage is they hack into their all the utility sectors. So they hack into like I have few cases where in Delhi there is a big electrical power grid. So few Pakistani hackers, they hack into this power grid, and they shut down the whole power plant. So because of that power plant, almost there was 3 to 4 days there was an blackout, electricity blackout in the whole national region of New Delhi, as well as also few part of different states and northern states of India. So things that this type of things can also happen in real life. And also besides that, recently also we have saw this thing that some Chinese hacker or Chinese hacker mostly, yeah, Chinese hackers hack into our some nuclear power plant in Tuticorin, I think so, and they also hack into Navy's Indian Navy's some new submarine details, the submarine network, and they actually hack into that details, and they got all the details from about the new submarine that we actually launched last year. So they did that. So this kind of case studies shows that anything can happen in the world, and this thing actually are real, and these things actually go worse as well. So and the third step, what they did is they hack into banking financial sectors. So in banking financial sectors, so there are one more case study that it has been seen that some North Korean hackers hacked into Bangladesh Federal Bank, and they almost took $150 million from that bank, and the money is untraceable as of now as well. Or as well as in regular basis, we actually see such type of scenarios in India, where lots of banks were actually blocking customers accounts and everything. Why they are doing it? Because lots of data has been leaked online, on it's available on dark web, that people are actually buying this thing or selling this thing on online. And how they get this data, they actually hack into the banking system. So Indian banking system is also vulnerable. That's why besides the cyber frauds or social engineering things that we saw, that people used to call and give details, that is there. But besides that, I'm talking about technicalities, how actually there are lots of vulnerability in the banking system, that hackers can actually hack into that and grab the money from that there. and also data as well, specifically in this scenario. So as all the case studies I have shared, I think you understand the sensitivity of this kind of scenario. And let's suppose if I am the person who can do all this thing, then actually I can hack into the whole country, right? So the worst thing that can happen, you can hack into the whole country, and country can't do anything about that. This kind of things can happen, and this kind of things may happen. And that's why people used to say this in this our domain of cybersecurity, that next world war will be there, but it will be a cyber war, not the normal war. On regular basis, to achieve this cyber warfare on cyber attacks happens on regular basis. We have saw that there are lots of cyber attacks that are happening on regular basis, and I already gave a few example of it. And also, yes, I was sharing about the cyber attack that did by US and Israel in Iran. Actually, they did in Iran. So Iran is, as of now, also you can see that Iran is working on nuclear power plant, and which is not supported by any other countries. And they are also doing. They have actually, US government has put in sanction on that, that they are not supposed to create or produce more this uranium and other things, and it should not create energy in that, because it is more than the required energy that is there required for like normal nuclear power plant. So what they did is US and Israel together, they did in cyber attack on Iran's nuclear power plant, and the attack called was Stuxnet. So Stuxnet is an most complicated malware that has seen people has or world has seen in the year 2011 or 12 something. And they created this malware to hack into the nuclear power plant. So what they did is they did very we can say normal trick that they use. They have created malware, and they inserted this malware in the pen drives, and they spread out this pen drive near the nuclear power plants. It's a normal human mentality that if we get this pen drive on the road, we'll take this pen drive to our home and check that if it is empty, then we'll use it, right? This is a normal mentality that we have. So the same thing happened there as well, where some scientists who actually took this pen drive and insert this pen drive in systems in the nuclear power plant, and using that this scenario, the malware actually get into the system, and they infected the whole network. That malware actually shut down the whole nuclear power plant. So the Stuxnet was actually that complicated that it was created using almost 5 to 6 zero-day vulnerabilities, and using these vulnerabilities, they were able to hack into the whole nuclear power plant. They were able to hack into their chilling towers. So chilling towers have centrifuges. Centrifuges is like in chilling towers. Maybe you saw this thing, chilling towers, and lots of big electricity power grids and power plants, where they actually there to cool down the whole system and everything. So obviously, nuclear power plant have this uranium plutonium, which is very sensitive and which is unstable material. So we have to maintain the temperature. So to maintain the temperature, there are chilling towers. So chilling towers have a centrifuge, or we can say fan. So the fan is there, and using this zero-day vulnerability, so they hack into PLCs. The PLCs are like programmable logic controls, and using these PLCs, they actually hack into these PLCs, and PLC were able to control this fan speed and everything. So when PLC got hacked, so they were able to control the speed of fan. So while fan was, they actually increased the speed of fan that much that fan actually broke, and now chilling tower was unstable. So they were like, if the whole chilling tower is unstable, that means the whole nuclear power plant is unstable, and they were supposed to actually blast, and this whole has to be destroyed, the whole area and other things. But somehow they Iran's nuclear plant, actually the team was there, and they actually shut down everything, and they were safe. But you can understand the sensitivity of that if you hack into some nuclear power plant, you can actually destroy the whole almost 50-60 miles of area at a single point of time, and it affects on lots of people across the like whole area, and for many years, right? So this is how sensitive it is, and this is how cyber attacks can happen, and they can lead to lots of damage to lots of countries as well. Now, on regular basis, we have seen, it's from the news, that on regular basis, US government is doing cyber attacks, and US and Israel together doing cyber attacks in Iran. So Iran recently mentioned that this US government is actually US people or hacking into their networks, and they are doing a cyber attack in their country. Also, besides that, there are also different police departments or different uh, department of government in different countries. They are doing taking actions against cyber this cyber terrorist group and other things. So the European police government have, sorry, US European police agencies actually hack into, or they hacked lots of this Twitter account of ISIS and other terrorist group and organizations groups and other things. Now, US carried out, it was in the news that US carried out a cyber strike on Iran after Saudi attacks. So there was, maybe you heard about that, there was an attacks on Saudis, this oil and natural gas pipelines and other things, and that's why the rate was actually fluctuated. And also after that, US actually carried out the cyber strike on Iran. These are normal attacks, cyber attacks that happen from one country to another. So you can understand that it's very normal to like heard about or to know about this kind of attacks. Besides that, we also see this saw this thing in recently, like in last 1 or 2 years, that there are lots of cyber attacks that happen in in our country as well, where people are like in Chinese attackers, Chinese hackers actually hack into our Indian network systems or Indian Defense Department or Indian. They were doing spammings and other things, and normal people's accounts and systems have also been infected. So it was in the news that 40,300 cyber attacks that was happened in 4 to 5 days from China. That Maharashtra Cyber Department actually mentioned this thing. Also, there are lots of people who mentioned this thing that from government of India also gave this the guidelines, and cyber certain is also gave that guideline and that particular time frame. So for that 1 month there will be lots of cyber attack from China to India. So this kind of things happen on a regular basis. Also, at the same time, there was an incident that happened in Australia. That Australia mentioned this thing after an investigation that there was a street-based cyber attack happen in Australia, where lots of different states in Australia were affected, and their normal the network that they use to communicate internally were affected, and their systems were hacked. So this thing happens on regular basis. If you would like to see the number of cases of cyber attacks or cyber attacks that happen on regular basis, you should go to this website called cybermap.kaspersky.com. So you can go to your your laptop, open the tab in your browser, and open this website called cybermap.kaspersky.com, and you can watch an cyber attack that is happening as of now. Right now, it's a real time cyber attacks that is happening, and you can watch this thing and on real time on regular basis. So these websites are there, you can take a note of it: cybermap.kaspersky.com, threatmap.checkpoint.com, and digitalattackmap.com. So these are a few websites that you can look into it to check the live attack that is happening from which country to which country and what kind of attack is there. Fine. So you can understand that what are the things that can happen if we talk about technology that actually evolved the domain of cyber warfare, or we could cyber war or normal war, right? So normal war affairs affected, now this kind of things happening and reaching out to cyber warfare. Similarly, the newest technology that we are talking about on regular basis, these are the keywords and buzzwords like artificial intelligence and machine learning, can actually evolve this whole domain of an war. So if we talk about defense departments or military departments or different country, they are using artificial intelligence, machine learning in different manner. Recently, it was in the news that Russia will be using artificial intelligence to control their nuclear power plant. So now you understand this thing, that let's suppose artificial intelligence is a non-human part of technology, where they don't know, that artificial intelligence don't know what is right and what is wrong. And if let's suppose it detects that someone is hacking into their network and it may actually affect their integrity, then this artificial intelligence running that this and handling this nuclear power plant may launch a nuclear attack. And some country, depends on what kind of details that they are getting and they are analyzing in the back end. So it may launch a nuclear attack as well. So you can understand the sensitivity of technology that we are using, and because of the evolution of technology in the defense department, and they may affect our livelihoods. Now if we talk about this whole technicalities of cyber warfare and things that can happen, it start with the basic thing called mass surveillance. So mass surveillance is the biggest point and biggest topic in the if you talk about national security. So national security may affect or like actually it also affects our individual's life, as in because mass surveillance actually compromise our basic human rights, that is right to privacy. So right to privacy may affect because of mass surveillance, and mass surveillance is done by lots of countries and different countries across the world, starting from the biggest 2 or 3 countries called named like USA, China, and Russia. So if we talk about the USA, US is doing mass surveillance from many years, and maybe you saw this movie called Snowden. So Snowden was an adverse. It is based on the Edward Snowden story. So Edward Snowden was a guy who was working with U.S. departments, Defense Department. He was working with CIA and NSA, and he created few softwares that actually help U.S. Department to doing surveillance. So surveillance is like getting all their information. So as an individual, whatever the things that you do, U.S. government knows that. Whatever things that you are doing on regular basis, US knows that. How they knows that? Because they are getting lots of information from different software that they are using. Besides that, lots of applications that they have created or loopholes that they found from that application, or companies they are integrated with. So you I have few example of it, that how you are being compromised. So maybe you heard this thing, it was in the news that man uses 99 phones to create fake traffic jam on Google Map outside his office. So Google office is there in Berlin, and this guy actually what he did is he used 99 phones together to show that there is some traffic in this particular road. So now this thing has been emerged. Now all the data that has been there, so it's live, and using this all data, actually they share this Google, Microsoft, Facebook, all these companies actually data and creating some data, and you are creating some data, and using this data they actually do lots of things. Besides that, that data also shared with their government, particular government as well. So US department, US telecommunication department actually get all this data from Google, that what are the things people are doing and who are the consumer of them are doing on regular basis. So how can they take this data legally? So while logging into this account or creating this account like Google account, while doing and sign up, there is lots of options, there are lots of terms and conditions, there are lots of options that they are mentioned there in the website, and we never read it. So the things that they have mentioned, that whatever data has been created using your account will be saved and stored and can be shared with their partner companies. So all these things are mentioned in their terms and conditions. Only on the right side you can see this, there is a terms and condition that is mentioned in the Google sign up form, or when they update policy they also always keep these points as well, that they are taking your data legally and you are willingly actually sharing your data with them. So obviously you're using Facebook, Google, and other services for free. So why, and they're making money out of it, right? So why they are like providing their services for free, and why you are like using their services? Because it's free. So while you are giving like you are using this free, but you are actually giving your data, and data is, as I mentioned, data is the new one, and data actually creates a value for them and they make money out of it. So besides the ads, they are making money out of in different manner as well. So as I was saying that these things and this data has been shared with their department. So how they did it? So they have they have multiple companies like AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, Facebook, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, AOL, and other companies. They are registered in USA. So obviously they are under their laws and everything. So they legally actually take all this data from there. So let's suppose if you have Facebook account, Instagram account, or any other WhatsApp and other things. So whatever the things that you are doing in that accounts, whatever people like, whoever you are talking to, the things or things you are doing in that WhatsApp or other things, or chatting or anything, even in your phone as well. You have, let's suppose if you have an Android phone, and Android phone obviously is owned by, like, Android product is owned by Google only, right? So Google have all access to your account, from your, like, Google account, Gmail account to Android account and everything. So whatever you do in your phone as well, let's suppose if I'm opening any application in my Android phone, so Google knows about that as well, and they are taking a record of it as well, and that can be shared with US government as well. So you can understand that sensitivity of this thing, and they can actually take this thing legally under the FISA Amendment Acts, and also under Patriot Act. So it is an, actually, Patriot Act was launched after 9/11, because of terrorist activities. They actually created this act that any without any suspicion, without lining, without any suspicion, or without any legal document, they can do surveillance on anyone. So under the Patriot Act, so under these two acts, they can actually get all the data about the people across the US specifically. Then later on, they actually do start doing this surveillance in different countries and different people from across the world. So this is how they are getting data from this, particularly from the laws. Besides that, they share all the lots of data with CIA, NSA, and also they have association with GCHQ, which is in UK's cyber division, and yeah, UK cyber division. Also, they have lots of software, surveillance software. Using that, they can do surveillance on you. So if you think that your phone is there, your laptop is there, and it cannot be hacked, they are actually into this thing. They can hack into your phones, they can hack into your laptop, they can do whatever they want. They can look into your data as well. They can actually hack into your webcam and see what you are doing live, and you won't be aware about that thing. So they can hack into this thing using lots of tools called Prism, Nucleon, Manyway, and other tools. They have the software to hack into anyone's system using the zero-day vulnerabilities. Similarly, if I talk about China, so China is doing hacking from many years. They are doing surveillance for many years. They are providing products, lots of free products, and also hardware and softwares as well. Like, maybe you saw this thing recently where in last year the Indian government actually banned lots of almost 250 plus Chinese application. So why we did that? Why Indian government banned Chinese application? Because this Chinese application was able to get lots of data from your mobile phones, and sharing this data with their servers in China, and from that Chinese server, this Chinese government was able to get all this data from their China server, from that particular company, right? So this is how they were doing surveillance on you. So they know everything about you. So if you are still using UC browser or any other Chinese application, then you should aware that you are under surveillance by China. So China is doing surveillance about you, whatever the things that you are doing. So this was about software, right? Similarly, hardware. So all the Chinese products that we are using on regular basis. So maybe you heard about this incident that US government, UK government, lots of European countries, Europe Union, and as well as Australia ban this company called High Tech or Hyrel something. So it's an actual Chinese company. Hitachi is the, sorry, I forgot the name of company, but yes, that there is a company. They actually banned this company, and even this company actually was able to share all this data from their local server to Chinese server, and obviously if you're sharing all this data with Chinese server, and that is server in China, right? So they can do whatever they want. China government can do whatever they want from that data. So they are doing surveillance on all of us, using different softwares and hardwares as well. So if you're using some Chinese phone, then you should know that you are also under surveillance. Now, I have footage of an. It was a live footage of an China's traffic light. This is how they use technology on regular basis. So they have artificial intelligence and image processing emerged, and they're using to detect all these things that is happening in China on regular basis on day-to-day life. So this is a footage where you can see that I can see the live thing, that whatever the happening in the screen there, you can see there is an sorry, there is a guy who is an adult and wearing short sleeve trousers and everything. So I can get all the details from just video feed only. So you can understand that how this is a normal day in China, and just we're talking about traffic footage, right? So you can understand how they are doing a surveillance across the whole country and across the world as well. Fine. That's why we banned Chinese application and like PUBG and TikTok and everything. Now, if you talk about applications, softwares, and hardware, we are connected with it on regular basis, and we are connected with them, and we are doing and lots of things, and we are creating and generating lots of data from it. Now, how it affects on regular basis to us. So this is an like time where people are using smart devices, smartphones, smart home automation, smart fridge, smart TV, smart AC, smart lights, and everything. Right, everything is smart, but we are actually becoming, we can say, dumb because the things that they are doing, this all these particular devices that you can see in this my slide. So everything, not just this, whatever it is, if it is an IoT enabled, then actually you are vulnerable to it. So how you are vulnerable to it? So you are the particular this product. Let's suppose let me give a good example of this: Google Home Mini and Amazon Alexa. So if you have Amazon Alexa and Google Home Mini at your home, that means your privacy has been compromised. How your privacy has been compromised? So let's suppose I have like my study room, or I can say hall. So hall, there is a hall in my room, in my house, and the things that we discuss, me and my family discuss in that particular hall. So whatever things that we are discussing in that hall has been recorded by Amazon Alexa or Google Home Mini. So either it is on or not. So then it doesn't matter if the Google Home Mini is off, in the sense I'm not like giving instruction to it, right? But still, things that we are discussing in that room, everything has been recorded. So everything has been recorded for that. Like maybe you heard about this thing, and whenever you call some customer care, that everything will be recorded for the customer purpose, security, no, sorry, quality purpose and other things, right? Similarly, they record everything. So things, whatever the things that you're recording. Let's suppose if you know, give an exam and you failed, and you came to your house, and you are sitting in the hall, and your parent talked to you about your exam result, and your mother, your father actually beats you because you got failed. So after this thing, in the night, you are actually getting an ad of an Jandu Balm or Iodex, that you should buy this Iodex and stuff. So how this thing happen? Because Google Home Mini or this Amazon Alexa knows, Google Home Mini knows that you got beaten up by your parent and you require an Iodex to write. So this is how this thing works. So they are generating all the data, whatever the data has been created in that particular room, and shared with their servers online. Now obviously everything is online in the cloud servers and everything, but these things can happen. Things can go wrong. So if I'm a hacker, I can hack into your Google account, I can hack into your Google account, then I can do whatever I want. So I have lots of data about you from your Google Home Mini as well, and I can besides your other accounts, personal details and everything, I can know what is happening in your home as well. So you can understand the sensitivity of it. So besides that, either it's an uh, yeah, smart TV, smart lights, this thing, all this thing can hackable. So everything you can see, or everything in the domain of IoT device or IoT enabled devices, all this thing can happen, and anything can go wrong, anything can go haywire. So I have a few case study about that. So you can see here in below section that it is mentioned that I turn off all Alexa devices whenever I want a private moment. He's an ex Amazon executive, so he was an Amazon executive, as in he was in bigger post in Amazon, and he is saying this statement because he knows that if Amazon Alexa is there in room and you are talking with, like, whatever your personal talk you are doing, so Amazon is recording all this thing, and they are gonna share all this data with their server, and everything will be recorded and stored in their server. Sorry. So I have one good case study about that as well. That Florida police obtained Alexa recording the murder case. So there was some murder that happened in Florida in some room, and in that same room there was an Amazon Alexa. So to investigate the murder case, U.S. Police Department, actually Florida Police Department, called Amazon and asked for recording from Alexa to understand, to know what happened in the room, to understand and to solve the murder case. So you can understand that this Amazon Alexa or Google Home Mini is recording everything, whatever you are doing, and can be sensitive information and can be recorded and stored in their server and can be called by or asked by government, US government, or a hacker can hack into it and they can take this data as well. Similarly, Google, it was in report that Google, Amazon approved the app spying from through home speakers. So you give access to third-party application to access your Google Home Mini. This third-party application actually is doing a spying. They are spying on you using your home, your home speakers. So this thing can also happen. Also, other case studies I have there, some 38-year-old stalks ex-girlfriend with car tracking applications. So this is there are lots of new smart car application. Smart cars are there, and they have this application there as well. So using this application, this guy was able to stalk his ex-girlfriend. Similarly, a well-known US media person, she was able to found that her ex-boyfriend was sitting on her using she found out using his 4 a.m. Fitbit data. So when she was looking into Fitbit data, she came to know that this his boyfriend was actually going outside every day on 4 a.m. Somewhere. I don't. She didn't know where, but she after investigation she came to know that her boyfriend was actually going somewhere and meeting someone. Similarly, CCTV footage and CCTV cameras or smart home devices were easily actually can be hacked very easily these days. So this is the footage of US where some woman's home was actually she was using Ring this CCTV camera, and it is owned by Amazon. And this hacker was able to hack into the CCTV camera and were able to see what is happening in the her room, and where she had an two girl. She was like child born girl, and she actually implemented this thing to look into their home and look into their room what her children were doing on regular basis. But this hacker hacked into this CCTV camera, and this guy was able to actually talk to this children and young girl, and to become a friend. So this hacker was able to hack into this CCTV camera, and he was trying to become a friend to this little girl. So now this kind of things don't happen on regular basis, and also besides this cyber attack, so there are lots of incident happen on regular basis related to data leak. So data leak is like an hackers who hack into these systems and leak data online and different manner, or somehow it accidentally happened by the company as well. So it is in the news that Google accidentally collecting 600 gigabyte of data on unsecured private data, while driving cars and other things. So they actually have this program of self-driving car, and they actually created lots of data, and it was available online for free. Similarly, Uber Technologies as an Uber car, as in cab. So they have this thing across the world, and there were incidents that some hacker hacked into their Uber's network, and they stole all the personal information about 57 million data, customers and drivers data, and they leaked online. Also, maybe you heard about, and it was in biggest news where Cambridge Analytica actually hacked into and they harvest data of almost 87 million people's Facebook data. So they hack into, or they actually harvested, not hack into, I would say they harvested data, because it was taken from third-party Facebook application, and they got this data and they were able to use the data to manipulate the US election and other different countries election as well. So it was there. Then also recently it happened that 540 millions records of Facebook data, where lots of publicly data was lots of data was publicly available, but sensitive and personal data was also there, was actually available on Amazon Cloud's computing services, which was an open platform. Someone actually leaked it and he wasn't aware. Then Mexico-based company called Cultiva also created lots of 146 gigabit of Facebook users data, which included names, user IDs, comments, likes, reaction to your post, and everything. All this thing on a regular basis has been hacked and leaked That's what we saw. Similarly, all the companies that you are aware about, all the companies that you are using services of, starting from Google, Facebook, Microsoft, even CIA was hacked recently. McDonald's, Nika, Truecaller, Twitter, Snapchat, Yahoo, IRCTC, whatever you say, all the companies that you know or you are using on regular basis, all the companies actually hacked. So I have lots of case studies about that, but I don't have enough time to discuss about that. So soon I'll be, yeah, let me move forward quickly. So hackers attacks every day. On every 39 seconds, there is on an average hack happens. These are the few stats I have. Cybercrime is estimated to cost the world by $6 trillion annually by 2021, and I think because of this COVID-19 and because of lockdown, maximum people, number of people actually came online, and using that taken benefit of it, lots of hackers and attackers actually affected lots of millions of people across the world and make them as a victim of cybercrime. And it was in the news on FBI mentioned this thing that because of the lockdown everyone is online, so almost there was an almost 5 to 600 percentage of uh, cases were increased. So number of cybercrime that was increased by 5 to 600%. So you can understand the number of cases on regular basis that they were receiving. They are getting 500 times more than that, right? So the type of number of cybercrime increase. So obviously the cost that has been involved is more than now 6 trillion. It is predicted that global cybersecurity spending will exceed 1 trillion cumulatively from year 2007 to 2021. But I think obviously, as I mentioned, this is also gonna go up. So it was in the by the report that by 2020, 100% of large enterprise will be asked to report to their boards of director on cybersecurity and technology risk, and least annually up to 40% of today on regular basis. So I have, as I think I already shared some statistics. Let's come to you. So as you individual, as we discussed about, I already discussed about points on privacy. So privacy, you have a right to privacy. Now, how your privacy can be affected? So this is more our kind of your privacy, and also how you can secure yourself, how you can aware about how what are the things that is happening on regular basis, and what are the precautions you can take. So as I we have discussed about Facebook, right? So Facebook data is leaked, Facebook has been hacked, Facebook data is available, and you also can be hacked very easily. So also there isn't this thing that Facebook asks lots of questions to you on regular basis. Facebook asks questions and you give answers to them as well, like questions like this: do you know, did you know, do what do you like, this and that. Also they requires an this they updates their policy on regular basis, and without reading the policy you actually accept it, right? So they recently also have this facial recognition system, and you accepted it. And you can go to your Facebook account setting, and you can go to the privacy setting. You can look into, there are lots of things that is there that was not supposed to be there. First thing is Facebook recognition, face recognition, sorry, face recognition. So now if you allowed face recognition, that means whatever the photos that you are uploading, so they'll be looking into their faces, and they'll be asked you, sometimes maybe you saw this thing in Facebook that it asks you that do you want to tag your friend, kind of, right? So how this thing works, they are using these face recognition techniques. Also they have one more thing that they have added in right now recently in their Facebook settings, that you can go to your Facebook settings and private settings, you can look into off Facebook activity. So what is off Facebook activity? So when you are not using Facebook, whatever things that you are doing without using Facebook, like let's suppose if Facebook application is off, but if you off the Facebook application, what are the other things that you are doing while you are off Facebook? They also record all this thing. So they have taken access, they have permission of you, and you already given lots of data to them. So you can go to your Facebook account settings, privacy settings, you can look into there, which is there is a word written that is off Facebook activity, and you can see into it that what kind of activities that you have did, from which application or where, they are actually recording everything. So that means they know a lot of thing about you beside the Facebook access. Without the Facebook, let's suppose whatever things that you are doing on Facebook, besides that whatever other things that you do, they also record that thing, and they also know about that. So I like lots of memes. So I like memes, and I share lots of memes on regular basis. But these are the memes that I like about Facebook. That Mark Zuckerberg actually came to India once, and he was there in some UP or MP in some school where he was sitting with his children, and this was the photo taken from there only. Where this is the meme now. So in meme it says that my dad told me you are spying on us. So Mark Zuckerberg said this to this child that he is not your dad. So how he knows? Because he knows more than anyone else, right? Kind of. So besides that, also Facebook helps former patient deal with memory loss by sending him all this personal information. This is again a meme. We already discussed about Cambridge Analytica. So this is a picture that was viral, that uh, Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO of Facebook. He is also aware that anything can go wrong, so he is also concerned about his privacy and security. That's why he actually, you can see right side image, that he actually put in tape, white tape on his webcam, that anyone can actually record or take picture from his webcam. So that's why he put in a tape on it. Also on the mic, so he put in tape on mic as well, so no one can actually record him without his permission. So this is how prevention he is taking on regular basis. Similarly, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk on regular basis he destroy his phone for security reason. Elon Musk makes jokes about WhatsApp. So he makes jokes about WhatsApp because he knows that WhatsApp is after overtaken by Facebook. So WhatsApp is not secure enough. WhatsApp is can actually using WhatsApp anyone can hack into your phone. So that's why he gave this statement that it WhatsApp comes with a free phone hack. He mentioned this thing after I think Jeff Bezos actually went to Dubai, and there was some news that Dubai government or someone from Dubai, he or she were able to hack into Jeff Bezos' phone, and specifically from WhatsApp. And that's why it was in the news. Elon Musk also criticized different platforms who are doing and running scams, specifically things like FaceApp. So FaceApp is a company which is situated in Russia, and they have created this application. It's an old application, and people are using this app become viral, where people can actually upload their photo and they become young, they become old, they can become girl or boy, whatever it is. So it was a fun entertaining app. But besides the entertainment, you people who are using this application should know that it's very serious to install this application and use such applications, because the things that they have mentioned in their terms and conditions were very sensitive. So this website, I think FaceApp website is still available. It's online. Application is also online. You can use it on regular basis. But terms and conditions that they have mentioned, it's very sensitive. You should go through that terms and condition. Uh, so what is the terms and conditions that they have mentioned? So they have mentioned uh, that whatever the collect data and information that is collected by this application can be shared or can be transferred from any country to any country. Then they also mentioned this thing that it may information may transfer can be collected about you, including your personal information across the border. So that's what I mentioned. Similarly, they can share this information to anyone or any third-party application, and you don't should not have any problem with that. Also, the data that they have created can be accessed, disclosed, altered, or destroyed, right? And if it happens by someone else, they are not responsible. All right. Similarly, they also mentioned this thing that we are not responsible for practices employed by any website or services linked to from our services. So that means they are clearly mentioning this thing that they are not responsible for whatever happened with your data. So if you're thinking that the data that you have created is safe in your phone, no, it's not. So this data has been shared with the server as well, and the companies are sharing or doing whatever they want using their data. So it's very sensitive. Also, they have mentioned this thing in your user content policy. So they are taking an full responsibility and full ownership of your data as an intellectual property. It is mentioned in that this terms and condition policy. In the second para, you can read this thing. You grant, as an user, grant face up a perpetual irrevocable, and you can read all these things. That means you have given all this data by yourself for free, and they can do whatever they want. So you can understand the sensitivity of this, that you are willingly doing or giving your data, and they can do whatever they want with this. Now, Also, if we talk about in India, this thing that got viral, and it was in the news, that Aadhaar card issue. Now, I have one case study where billions of Aadhaar card data was available for in just 500 rupees. So it was in the Punjab, some district, where some newspaper, Tribune newspapers representative actually able to get access to all the people's data across the India in just 500 rupees. They were able to create fake Aadhaar card. They able to modify the data as well in just 500 rupees access only. Also, things that you do on regular basis. This is a very sensitive topic I want to discuss, and I'll quickly go through that because it affects you on regular basis and your privacy as well and your life as well. Social media addiction is the newest thing that is happening on regular basis, and I'm doing some research work on that. So I have few case studies here. You can see the on the left side corner below and bottom, there was a post by one of my friends. She mentioned this thing that the last year I think so there was a flood in Mumbai, and every year that happens. So she mentioned this thing that anyone near Parel, Tata Memorial Hospital, who can help manage stay from my mom and bro till transport service start working. So transport services wasn't working, and she was asking for an help. Now in this scenario, she posted on Facebook. It's a public platform, right? So anyone can read this post and anyone can actually comment to it. So while if someone is unknown and he was trying to contact with her, and he was trying to talk with her, and he was like, I'll be helping your mom or brother, and what if things can go wrong, and the person who is helping, supposed to help, who actually kidnap her mom and brother, things can go wrong, right? So similarly, I have few case study where some Mumbai girls or Pune's, I think Pune's girl were there, and she was very famous. She had good number of followers on Instagram, where she was able to reach out like million views or something, million followers something, and she was posting everything whatever she is doing on regular basis. So there was a follower, stalkers, I would say that stalker was following her on regular basis what she is doing. So she actually were able to go out with her friends in Manali trip, and when she got there, this stalker actually were following her, and he actually got to her and tried to become a friend. And as the the place was new and everything, but somehow they got become friends, and the guy actually kidnapped that girl, right? So this types of things can happen. So whatever you're posting on regular basis on social media, you should know what you're posting. So always think about what you're posting. Think twice whatever you say on social media, whatever you post on social media. So, and also while talking to unknown people, obviously you should not, first of all, you should not talk to unknown people. So never share and personal details about your personal details about to unknown person. Never talk to unknown person. If you're talking to them, never share your personal details with them. Fine. These are things that you should keep in your mind. Besides that, there are lots of cases of online, or we can say uh, cyber suicide kind of things are happening on regular basis. So in the middle you can see there was a post by some guy who mentioned around 10:11:58 that I'm gonna 2 minutes remaining, and he was on regular basis, he was posting lots of suicidal posts that I am alone and other things and stuff. So he was like, I don't want to live anymore, and I won't be there. And 2 minutes remaining, and then he mentioned this thing and post that goodbye lockout and stuff, and he was offline for 24 hours, as he was an active internet user, active Facebook user. So people got worried, and they were like, what happened? Did this guy did in suicide actually or not, and everything, lots of things were happening. And we also saw there's lots of cases that people were doing suicide, and before 5 minutes before the suicide, they are actually posting on social media that I am sorry, I am that, I don't want to do this. And they also, lots of, even we in lots of cases, we also saw that people are doing suicide and they are creating video of it, and they are sharing online live as in live video. So all these things are wrong. So whatever things that you're posting, you should be aware about it. You should not do such things online. Also, picture that you post should not have and sensitive information like Aadhaar card details. And like I have seen this thing that lots of people who go for the voting, and after the vote they actually take a photo with a voting card and share that I voted. No, you don't should not do this thing. You should not doing this type of things on regular basis, whatever it is. Also, lots of people share their photo of their debit card, credit card, or check that I know I got my first salary and other things. You should not do this thing. Also, lots of messages that you receive on WhatsApp on regular basis, which is in very spamming, and spamming like you saw this kind of message that you should share this photo or video with like 50 people, 20 people, and you will be having a good day. Right? This is a good meme that I like. That in this picture on the left side you can see Hanumanji is beating this guy that अब बता मैंने तुझे कब कहा कि 10 लोगों को मैसेज भेज नहीं तो बुरा होगा तेरा. Similarly, Shivji and other things. Similarly, lots of people are sharing unwanted, unrequired WhatsApp status. So for that, I have this picture on the right side that send song सुनाना पाप नहीं है, लेकिन उसे WhatsApp status में डालकर दूसरों को irritate करना आतंकवाद है. So then these are the few suggestions that I would tell you, that please protect your identity whenever you are online, either also on any application or anything, but you should aware about this thing, and you should not do such things. You should not talk to unknown people. Don't give your personal information like your full name, parents name, date of birth, address, phone number, or photos. So if you are like doing this thing, and you might become a victim of cyber stalking, cyber bullying, and cyber harassment. On regular basis, I have received 5 to 10 cases of cyber stalking, bullying, and cyber harassment, where one of the classmates was doing cyber bullying or cyber harassment. So I'll quickly go through, skip few things later on in this my slides. So on regular basis, I have seen that there are lots of issues that stands on regular basis on while you are using social media, and it affects on individuals. So what kind of issues that we have saw, or it has been reported by lots of people across the India, and according to the National Crime Recorder Bureau, that is NCRB, Government of India, also Police Department. So the issues that we saw on regular basis within school or college going students. So 50% of it has been reported that 50% of school or college going students are facing cyber bullying. Then fake Facebook profile. It has been seen that lots of people are like, mostly it has been seen that guy actually created a fake account of a girl and talk to unknown people and talk to their friends and everything, and trying to defame them. Right, there are lots of defamatory posts as well. Similarly, there are lots of pornographic posts as well. So lots of people are consuming lots of pornography on regular basis, but also share pornography on regular basis on social media, on WhatsApp and other things, which is an illegal thing and which is wrong. If you and you got caught, you can go to jail. Sexting is a newest thing. Everyone is preferring this thing, sexting, instead of meeting people in real life. They are actually doing on text. So while doing texting, all this thing happens. Now there are lots of sexual predators online. So people will talk to you as in become your friend online. You never met them, you never know, you don't know them, and they're talking to you. Now they take advantage of this scenario. They take your personal pictures. They ask very politely, and you give your pictures to them. Now using that picture, they can actually blackmail you. So I have seen lots of cases where people like it was case of I think Gurgaon, where a 16 or 17-year-old girl were become victim of this thing, where she was talking to some unknown person, and the person was like they were like he actually convinced her, and they were into relationship, online relationship. They never they never met it in real life. They never saw their each other's face in real life, what they looks like, but they were like on a relationship. They were girlfriend boyfriend online, and they were doing some talks, personal talks and private talks, and this guy asked for some personal pictures, and this girl actually gave some personal or private pictures to him, and this guy actually used his pictures and morphed these pictures and created pornographic video and shared in some pornographic website. And later on, this 16 or 17-year-old didn't suicide. So it's very serious. This kind of things happens on regular basis. Very serious. This thing happen, and should not be involved in this kind of scenarios. So you should be aware this kind of things happens on regular basis. You should not be participating in such things. Identity theft is also biggest issue where people are like taking your information and using your information. They are talking to unknown people. Like let's suppose, let me give you a good example of it. That there was incident that in Ahmedabad, some RJ radio jockey, some famous radio jockey was there, and someone created a fake account of this radio jockey, and he was this guy was talking to lots of girls from this radio jockey's account, fake account, and the girl was actually fall in love with this guy, and she was like, I know this, I don't know, forget the name of this radio jockey, but yeah, she was like, I am actually talking to this guy and this radio jockey RJ, and I'm in love with you and love with him and everything. And while this guy was actually got caught and he wasn't responding to this girl, so she was actually following the original radio jockey, and she was like harassing this guy, original radio RJ. So this RJ reported this to the police, and police investigated, and the police caught the particular girl, and this girl mentioned this thing that, see, I am talking to this guy, this radio jockey, and I am in love with him, and he's also in love with me and other things. Now after the investigation, they come to know that, and they mention this girl that you're talking to an fake account, right? So this kind of things happen on regular basis. So identity theft is the biggest issue these days. Bullying on public pages, this happens a lot. I have seen that lots of school, colleges, students actually create this confession pages. So confession pages are there, and lots of people do confess on this for public pages. Now using this, people who are owner of this confession pages take a benefit of it, and they using this confession, they actually blackmail student of this school or colleges. That also happens on regular basis. People who are crazy about taking selfies is also a biggest issue. We have saw that people who are taking selfie actually dies. How they died? Because they are trying to take a selfie on the railway track where they want to capture the picture with this train. As in, it also saw that people who are going to different public places, as in tourist places, and they are trying to take selfie from different places. But now sometimes it happens that they actually dies. How? So there was a case where there was flood in Uttar Gujarat in Disa district. So in Disa district in North Gujarat, so they were flood, and they were like this 4-5 friends were standing in nearby the dam, and they were taking selfie. And because dam was like flooded, and they also got inside the flood, and they actually died. So also it has been seen that people who is be like on the terrace, and they are trying to they are actually flying kites and other things, and they are trying to take selfies, and somehow they fall off of the roof and they die. So taking selfies is very normal, but it should depends on where you are taking selfies. So you should be aware about where you are taking selfies and what kind of place it is, and you might can get die. Okay. So also now I'll quickly go through few case studies to get to aware about you what is happening on regular basis. So I think I'm skipping few things as I don't have enough time. I'll quickly go through this ATM frauds. So on regular basis, there are lots of ATM frauds is happening. So how this happens? So these hackers or scammers, they actually store this small CCTV like CCTV camera, and closed circuit camera. Using that, they are actually recording all these things. So what they are recording? So they actually put up this fake card swiping machine, and also put some camera. So whenever you are swiping your card from the system, they'll copy the card details, and while camera is there, will be recording all your passwords. So they are copying all the detail and password of your this ATM card. So they'll be getting all these details by doing this thing from ATM. So whenever you go to ATM system to withdraw some money, you should look into this thing, that there is no CCTV small camera, or the swiping system is not fake. Fine. Also, you can see into the picture that there is fake keypad as well. So this fake keypad actually stores all the data and share with this later on taken by the hackers very easily. Similarly, card swiping system. There are you can see the two different card swiping system. If your card actually fully fully goes into the card swiping system, that means the device is appropriate or correct, and if doesn't, that means it's a fake device. Also, there are four small card swiping devices there. So when you go to restaurant, never give your card to them. always swipe your card and always put your pin by yourself only. Never share your pin with the people or anyone whenever you go to either shopping or something, wherever you go. Also, now these days you are having this NFC based, near field communication based debit or credit card. Now as this is NFC based, so there is no need of actually swiping your card. So there is a system, using that system on the left side upper corner, you can see that you like hacker have to just go through besides you only, and they don't have to touch you, they just go through besides you, and from your wallet they can actually grab all this information about your card. So it's very easy. So there are lots of different types of cybercrime happen on a regular basis. I don't have enough time, but I quickly go through. I'll quickly go through some laws because it's very important. You should know about few laws if you are domain of IT. So as I mentioned that if someone is doing identity theft, so under the IT Act section 66C, a person who is doing an identity theft can go to imprisonment, like he or she can go to jail, or they have to pay 1 lakh rupees as a fine. Similarly, doing an impersonation, cheating by impersonation, section 66G, same thing as I mentioned. This person can go to jail for 6 months to 3 years, or have to pay a fine of 1 lakh rupees. Similarly, if you violate someone's privacy, section 66E, you can go to jail for 3 years, and you have to pay fine for 2 to 3 lakh rupees. If you're doing some illegal things which may affect cyber like national security, so you can be conducted under the law of IT Act section 66F under cyber terrorism, and you can go for jail for like whole life, for imprisonment for life. Similarly, if you are doing or sending offensive message on social media or anywhere, so you can go to jail for under section 66A. If you are using someone stolen phone, if you stole someone phone, or if you're using someone's stolen phone, then you can go to jail, or you have to pay fine under section 66B. Or not just stolen phone, also data as well. So if you're thinking that you can like steal some information from your friend's phone and then blackmail, then again you can become a victim, or you can go to jail, or you have to pay fine. Similarly, if you're sharing any kind of obscene e-form, so if you're publishing or sharing obscene content in your WhatsApp group or chatting group or in friends group or wherever it is, and either on WhatsApp or Facebook or anything, so you should go to jail. If you got caught, then you should have to pay 9 lakh rupees as a fine, or you can go to jail for 5 years. Similarly, publishing, transmitting content, sexually explicit content, then as I mentioned, again you can go to jail 5 years, or you have to pay 10 lakh rupees. Similarly, lots of other things are there, lots of other laws are there, but I don't have enough time. I'll be quickly go through some other laws. So if someone is threatening you, or you are threatening someone, so sending threatening messages by email, so or defamatory mails, different message by email or WhatsApp or anything, then section 503 IPC, 5499, 500 IPC, you can go to jail. If you are forging some electronic records, so section 463, 470, 471 IPC. If you are creating bogus website, so it will be, or doing cyber frauds, section 420 IPC will be there. Email spoofing, if you're doing some email spoofing to make fun of it or in your school or colleges, then under section 416, 417, 463, you can go to jail. If you're doing some illegal thing like online selling of drugs, NDPS Act will be there, and you can go to jail. Webjacking, you are doing webjacking under section 383, you can go to jail. If you are selling or arms arms or anything, then under Arms Act you can go to jail. Now, so this is my last point, that while you are online, you're talking to people or doing whatever it is, so you should be aware, you should be secure, you should be safe. So how you can do that? So while surfing on internet, you should use HTTPS everywhere, Web of Trust as an application. These are like third-party add-ons that you can add in your browser and be safe. Always use browser like Firefox, which is safe and provide you privacy. You can use Facebook Container as a third-party application, as in Facebook actually add-on that you can use to secure your things that you are doing in this particular tab of Facebook. Then you can use Proton Mail for secure email communication. You can use LastPassword to store your passwords. You can use Mailwala, Signal, other chatting applications to secure your chatting. So I think that's it from my side. If you have any questions, any doubt, you can ask me your questions. Besides that, this is my contact details, so you can contact me on my email address, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can connect me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. And this is my contact details. You can contact me later on after this session is over. If you still have questions on anything, you can contact me directly on my phone number. You can drop me a message on WhatsApp. I surely try to give you an answer on regular basis or like on time whenever I'm available. So yes, if you have any questions, anything, I'm ready to ask, take questions.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
We have a lot of questions here. One student is asking, is it possible to include machine learning or artificial intelligence in protection of an application or data whose code changes with time so that no flaw is detected at current time?
Yes, we can do that. So we are working lot, not just we, actually lots of people, lots of government, lots of organization like IBM, Google are using this thing, and not just securing data, they're also preventing cyber attacks. So let's suppose, let me give you a good example of it. So there were some ransomware attack in my company, and now obviously the same kind of attacks can happen again and again. So I am using threat intelligence systems. So threat intelligence is an advanced version of normal threat detection positions where they included artificial intelligence and machine learning to evolve our threat systems. So threat management systems are has been evolved now, and they are threat intelligence systems where they can actually stop similar kind of or maybe new type of attacks as well by learning these things and that what kind of attacks that happens on regular basis. So yes, machine learning AI can enable and help company or people to secure their application or softwares or even whole company as well.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question. One student is asking, sir, please guide me. What is the roadmap or path to follow to learn in depth about white hacking or black hacking? He wants to choose it as a career.
Career, great, fine. So obviously you should learn cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a huge domain, and as I mentioned, and I have already given an example of it, and difference between the white hat hacking and black hat hacking. Actually, there is no specific thing called black hat hacking or sorry white hat hacking. So hacker is an hacker, either it depends on their perspective or their characteristics and what kind of things he or she is doing, right? So hacker is hacker, either it's a black hat hacker, black white hat hacker, it doesn't matter. It's just now as we talk about how you can learn it, right? So to learn cybersecurity, so I have mentioned this roadmap of cybersecurity career, right? So you should follow this thing. You should first of all get into community. So I think I should let you know about this thing that we have a community called the Hackers Meetup. So I am running a community called the Hackers Meetup. In the Hackers Meetup, we have almost around 800, 5 to 800 members across India, and we have almost 15 different chapters across India, and we are reaching out more and more orders on regular basis, and we are awareing people technical side of cybersecurity. So we are teaching or we are actually arranging technical sessions on regular basis. Every week and every Sunday we have these events, and volunteer who are joining us, they are learning lots of things while being as a volunteer. They are also helping us in organization to organize such events, and also they're learning on the things from regular basis from the sessions they attend. So you should join a community. Also you should start learning about this thing by obviously cybersecurity is a huge domain. There are different domains in the cybersecurity domain as well. Like let me give an example of it, like cybercrime investigation, digital forensics, security auditing, cyber law, then compliance, then network security, then endpoint security, IoT security, and other things. So there are different domains in the cyber security, like engineering. So engineering have almost 20 to 30 different domains in engineering. Similarly, cyber security have a different 20 to 30 different domains. So to understand that, you should know the basic of it, and to starting to learn about cybersecurity or getting started with cybersecurity domain, you should know the basic of it. How you know the basic of it or what you can do to learn about this thing? Start with the networking part. So you should learn what is computer, how it works, and how the whole network works. So you should not do or particular courses for networking. There is no need of doing a networking courses, but yes, you can learn all this thing while attending your, I think in third or fourth semester, you'll be getting subjects on networks. Like you'll be network, all the network devices and other what are the things that happens in network basics, right? Protocols and everything. So you should learn this thing from your college only, network part. After learning this thing, practice this thing and try to learn new things on regular basis from domain of cybersecurity. Then I think you can, yeah. Go ahead, Manga.
Well, thank you, sir. It was a wonderful session. We learned a lot of concepts about hacking types, real stories, tools, examples, case studies, the sectors prone to hacking, the cyber attacks, AI ML in defense, and so on. I'm sure it has made our students to pick up valuable practical tips, and it is definitely going to help them to perform better in their careers. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So students, will meet in our next session. Stay safe. We'll be right back soon.